Hello and welcome back to Lorehammer. I'm your host, Mark. We got a fun episode, the final of a 4-part little series on Roboute Guilliman and his Ultramarines. So today we're doing Ultramarines in the 40k chapter era. We got a lot of history to cover, 10,000 years. I think I got a good flow to how I divvied out what we're going to learn about them history-wise. Joining me today is Christian. Hey.
If we dedicate 10 minutes per year, we can get through all 10,000 years of Ultramarine history in 6 days.
Yeah, it should be about that long if you actually went through each battle. You know, you found every snippet in every codex of the things that they've done. It would take forever, but yeah. We also got Jordan with us.
Hello.
What's going on with you? You like the boys in blue back for another?
Oh, yeah. Classic.
11th edition is coming out. I don't know when, but Blood Angels are the poster boys. They're on the box art on everything, apparently. So the boys in blue got bumped. I don't know if that makes you feel sad, happy, but it's out there.
I will say they featured in the trailer, even though it was a Blood Angel release, so don't get too confident.
Yeah, that is funny that they snuck in somebody else's trailer like that. Fucking hell. Well, I think most of us like Ultramarines. It's fun to rag on them, but when you learn actually what they get up to and how crucial they are to 40k, they aren't just like poster boys because somebody liked them. They've held the Imperium together time and time again. And you see with like the history that we're going to talk through, that's kind of their theme. It's like everything's fallen apart and then they come in last second to just like rebuild and hold everything together. They never get it back to where it was. It's always still a shithole, but it's their shithole at least.
Untainted by the Tyranids.
Yeah, exactly.
Before we go on too much, it does remind me of when we spoke with Rick Priestley, kind of his vision for what Space Marines were supposed to be. Like they were regionally located, and like the Ultramarines really do live up to that, where they have their whole segmentum of Ultramar.
Yeah, they're really one of the only ones that does that. Like you might get a planet or a chapter that holds a system.
Yeah.
But yeah,
500 worlds is a lot.
Yeah. Well, before we get into it, let's do some quick housekeeping. Come join the Discord. It's a good time in there. People are always posting things. There's a book club in there. There's a work in progress desk. If you want to show off your newest mini and ask for some help or whatever, you can just pop in there. Post whatever you want. No one's going to stop you.
Except the law.
Well, yeah. But Lorehammer Legal has you back on that. You can just go in there and just start posting. It's a good time. So if you want to find the show or the Discord, there's links in the show note below.
Yeah. Mark, did you know there's a little website I don't know a lot of people know about? I just made it up the other week. It's called Patreon.
Yeah.
You can actually invest directly into the show. By joining the Imperial Tithe. Yeah, it's a really cool feature.
That sounds very helpful, actually.
I developed myself. Yeah. You can access the show and get ad-free version of it for only $2.50 and a live stream version for only $5. So come support my personal project of patreon.com. Can we get sued for that? Will Lorehammer Legal back me up on that?
Yeah, it will. That's probably not even the top 10 most heinous crimes out there. Yeah.
Good. Glad.
And if you are a member of the Patreon, you can also jump in on these live streams while we are recording in real life IRL. There's a live chat going during the show, and occasionally we take call-in guests if you are deemed worthy.
There is a trial by combat to get on.
Yeah.
2 months to get on, but if you battle those Pumas and Christian, you're getting.
It's not going to be easy. I'll tell you that.
No. All right. Well, Ultramarines 40k era. I feel like I've said a lot of things over with them. Like they don't have any gimmicks to talk about. They don't have anything flashy, but they're just, they're the boyfriend you want. They're all reliable. They're going to make sure you're taken care of. And that's, cool in and of itself in like a galaxy of 40k where it's so dangerous, so violent. There's so many just problems for there to be any type of like harmony or working empire flow. Like Ultramar has some worlds that are like self-sustaining and beautiful. Like, yeah, so it's good on them that they have that kind of stuff at least. In this episode, we're going to get into their history. We'll go back to the Great Scouring a little bit. There's a couple more incidents we'll talk about. The War of the Beast, specifically the beheading, the Tyrannic Wars, the invasion of Ultramar, and a little bit about the Era Indomitus, but we're not going to fully scratch that yet with the return of Guilliman. That kind of gets its own little series eventually. But then we're going to organization, the 500 worlds. We'll talk about a couple of the planets in some detail. And then the recruitment, gene seed, combat doctrine, belief. Boys, did you know that when you are a firstborn Space Marine and then you become a Primaris Marine, you undergo the Calgarian rites? Swear to God. From Marinius Calgar, not from the city Calgary, so you don't have to go travel to the frozen north and like fight Christian and the Pumas for this honor.
That's a different Calgarian, right?
Yeah, different Calgarian, right? But yeah, the Calgarian rights. I didn't know that they named that thing officially now, so that's the crossing the Rubicon's name. And then we'll talk about the culture and the appearance and war gear. So jam-packed episode. Let's just get into it.
Let's dive right into their history. Ultramarines in 40K. The Ultramarines possess a long and honored history rooted in discipline, order, and unwavering service to the Imperium. Forged during the Great Crusade under the command of their Primarch, Roboute Guilliman, they rose as exemplars of strategy and governance, conquering and stabilizing vast regions of space. Their legacy endured through the trials of the Horus Heresy, where their resilience preserved both their strength and their ideals, allowing them to stand as a pillar of continuity in a shattered Imperium. In the millennia since, they have upheld the tenets of the Codex Astartes, not only as warriors, but as stewards of order, shaping the realm of Ultramar into a model of stability and strength. From the purging campaigns of the Great Scouring, through the trial of the Iron Cage and the retribution wrought at the Battle of Sagulsa, to dire conflicts of the War of the Beast and the political upheaval of the beheading, the Ultramarines have endured unbroken into the Tyrannic Wars, the devastation of the invasion of Ultramar, and now stand resolute in the Era Indomitus. Their history is not merely one of conquest, but of measured rule, sacrifice, and the enduring pursuit of perfection in war and governance alike.
Yeah. Maybe that's one thing you don't hear often with the Ultramarines is like that perfection in war. You know, they're talked about like maybe like more the jack of all trades. But in being that jack of all trades, that is what makes them masters, is that they know everything there is to know. They'll counter you, they know it all.
Yeah, they don't even have to be the best at something. They can just know how to counter you and hit you where you're weak. And in a way that makes them the best all their own. Just as a quick side note, that picture is one of my favorite 40K pictures of all time.
Do you like it when they colorized it, or do you like the more kind of the black and white original?
I do like the colorized version, but the thing I like about the black and white version is I can edit it to look like my own chapter. I can color it in as my own colors.
Not that you can do that, you have done that.
I literally have done this. So,
yes. Yeah.
All right. Should we get into the Great Scouring? In the aftermath of the Horus Heresy, during this Great Scouring, the Ultramarines stood as the backbone of a shattered Imperium, bringing order where there had only been ruin. Under leadership of Roboute Guilliman, they did not simply wage war against the fleeting traitor legions, but impose structure, discipline, and governance across reclaimed worlds. Guilliman's reforms, most notably the Codex Astartes, reshaped the legions Astartes into smaller, more controllable chapters, ensuring no single force could again threaten the Imperium as Horus had. While other legions pursued vengeance into the void, the Ultramarines rebuilt, fortified, and administered, stabilizing vast regions of space through the strength of Ultramar and its 500 worlds. In this way, they did more than win battles. They preserved the Imperium itself, holding it together through order, reason, and unyielding duty.
Yeah, like of all the Space Marines, or maybe of all the Primarchs closest to like the Emperor's vision for what the Imperium could be, it would be Guilliman. Like this, like builder. There's like reason. There's unity, order. There's a lot of them that relate to the Emperor in like a warlike manner, but in this like actual Empire mindset of like what the Imperium, how it actually looks like when that war is done, what happens.
Yeah, arguably, like that could be another reason for being poster boys. I'm sure there's multiple levels of it, but like you said, even their aesthetic is kind of modeled. Like the Imperium of Man is very Romanesque in their structure and their naming conventions and things, and obviously the Ultramarines are also very much Greco-Romanly coded as well. Yeah. So
yeah, it just kind of works. I love this era of the Great Scouring. I might read the books of them. Like, I don't know. There's just something about this style of Primarchs, like Guilliman holding the Imperium together. Dorn's off crusading, being a madman, trying to get himself killed. Like, I don't know. The Primarchs almost seem like they've all gone insane at this point, or have something a little more like they have the loss or heavy with, just wounds or whatever, man.
Yeah.
Guilliman gets up to a couple more things before he falls. We talked about in the last episode how he does fall or whatever, but we didn't mention the Iron Cage incident, and then also the Battle of Teslagulia, or however it's spelt there.
That one's gonna suck, and I hate that you gave me that section to read. Sagusa?
Yeah.
Sagusa?
Yeah. Tsagualsa. Good luck with that. But these are pretty cool incidents. When we think of the Iron Cage incident, we don't necessarily think about the Ultramarines, but they were there. So, following the conclusion of the Horus Heresy amidst the order campaigns of the Great Scouring, the Imperial Fist Legion commenced a single siege against the Iron Warriors' paramount bastion, the Eternal Fortress. Upon the world of Sebastius IV, the fortress comprised of over 20 square kilometers of bastions, towers, minefields, trenches, razor wire tank traps, readabouts, and an intricate network of subterranean tunnels arranged in the form of an 8-pointed star. Fucking tight. Yeah. At the center stood a massive bunker intended to function as a decoy and no true military value whatsoever. Guilliman counseled Rogo Dorn against the undertaking, but yet Dorn remained embittered after losing the debate regarding the implementation of the Codex Astartes, and resented the imminent division of his legion in the second founding. The Imperial Fist Primarch sought to direct his anger and frustration towards his most hated rival and traitor Primarch Protorabo and his Iron Warriors. True to his brother's warning before the battle concluded, the bodies of hundreds of Imperial Fists lay across the grounds of the fortress until Guilliman and his Ultramarines relief force finally arrived. 3 solar weeks and within 6 Terran days later, the Imperial Fists had fought without rest and had long exhausted their ammunition before the Ultramarines reached them. Protorabo was unable to maintain the position against 2 full Space Marine legions, enacted his final stratagem, and denied the Imperial Fists the recovery of over 400 of their fallen and the precious gene seed. Following the campaign, Dorn judged the surviving warriors of his legion, and were prepared to accept the division mandated by the Codex Astartes. And he proceeded to divide the Imperial Fist Legion into at least 5 successive chapters. Though Protorabo had not annihilated Dorn's legion, his victory proved sufficient to secure his ascension as a demon prince in the eyes of the Chaos Gods' eternal masters. Yeah, so the Ultramarines just kind of swoop in a lot in the that final moment, that 12th hour, and then save them. This is a great example where like they did it for the Fist, and if they didn't, what would have happened? Would the Imperial Fist be no more? Kind of sounds like it.
Yeah, I mean, even they come in at the 10th, like the final hour of the Siege of Terra too, right? Like they are the. It's kind of like in Lord of the Rings when the Rohirrim show up.
Yeah,
they're always
just
kind
blue.
of
like, on Helm's Deep. You mean? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, arguably also minus Tirith, except they also get trounced there after the fact.
Oh yeah.
But whatever. We're not getting into Lord of the Rings right now. But yeah, they are that kind of like force that shows up at the last minute to recover what would be a defeat, and at least, like you said, Mark, earlier, almost like stalemate things back to the status quo, which is good for 40K.
Yeah. Yeah, so that battle was really more like that Imperial Fist. We've heard it a bunch of times, but we never really talk about that aspect of and even the fact that like Dorn finally submitted and broke down his legions, even though he didn't want to. Like he that's pretty big for Roboute Guilliman too. Like the other Primarchs, they trusted him.
The Space Wolves also resisted, didn't they?
Yeah, Space Wolves did. I think Raven Guard did.
Arguably, some of them might have been too broken, anyways. Like the Raven Guard, and I think the Salamanders also, maybe.
Yeah.
But also, this era is going to be rewritten here with their new series, so it is likely that some of the stuff will change, or there will be new perspectives to it, and all kinds of added context that didn't exist before. But
yeah. We will know what they ate for dinner that night before the conversation. Yes, we will.
Yes, the Iron. You can believe that the Iron Cage will be its own sub-series within the series.
$25
per page.
God
Printing
damn.
costs are not cheap.
Oh yes.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, let's move on to the next great battle, the Battle of Sigulsa. That is the pronunciation I'm going to stick with for the rest of the episode, if I remember. Following the Siege of Terra, the Imperium pursued the traitor legions with measured resolve. Most of the traitors were driven into the Eye of Terror by 021 M31. Yet the Night Lords largely remained within Imperial space, conducting calculated raids and ambushes, which inflicted sustained losses upon the Imperial forces. At some point after 32 M31, Conrad Kurz was reunited with the Night Lords Legion. Though the Primarch's sanity continued to deteriorate and the Legion remained fractured and unstable, his presence compelled the majority of his sons to rally at a new stronghold on Sigulsa. The world was heavily fortified, with the Night Lords intensifying their incursions into Imperial-controlled regions. Ultimately, Kurz was slain by the Calidus assassin Emshen, whereupon the Night Lords once more fell into internal discord. While much of the Legion continued to operate from Sigulsa and even increased the tempo of its raids, a growing number of warbands fractured away to pursue independent aims. Many Night Lords withdrew to the Eye of Terror. Years after the death of Conrad Kurz, the Imperium at last initiated a decisive offensive to eliminate the threat posed by the Night Lords at Sigulsa. For this purpose, the Ultramarines assembled their second founding successors, including the Aurora chapter, Praetors of Orpheus, Nova Marines, Genesis chapter, Silver Eagles, Black Consuls, and the Doom Eagles. The Ultramarines-led coalition executed a precise warp translation into the heart of the Sigulsan system, immediately engaging the Night Lord's fleet. Though the traitor armada was formidable, Imperial strength surpassed it. In short order, the traitor fleet was shattered and began to withdraw. Upon Sigulsa itself, the Night Lords swiftly recognized that they could not halt the advance, and enacted a fighting withdrawal, each warband acting independently, with cohesion rapidly dissolving. Once the traitor fleet had been breached, Imperial forces made planetfall on Sigulsa. Though the Ultramarines and their allies sustained considerable losses in their assault upon the Night Lord's principal fortress, they methodically penetrated the complex and commenced the systematic elimination of the remaining traitors. Talos Volcarin, the Night Lord's notorious prophet, was among those nearly slain in the operation, though the squad succeeded in escaping aboard a captured loyalist Thunderhawk and fled the system under Vandred Anrathi's command. The Night Lords were left utterly broken as a legion following the Battle of Sigulsa. They would never again unite in significant strength.
Cool. So if they're not holding the Imperium together, honestly, they're kicking traitor asses. So this is like the second traitor, technically maybe even the third traitor homeworld that they've kind of scoured. They did the Word Bearers, as we learned in the last episode, and they kind of scoured the World Eaters homeworld, kinda. Not really. They tried to help, but they watched it burn either way.
Yeah, I mean, even if
they were there, they were there when it burned down.
Yeah.
Even if they don't, even if the Imperium is kind of falling apart, you can keep your enemies weak enough that they can't come in and take you over. That's all you really need to do in terms of strategy. I'm curious, like, the Ultramarines seem to have like a lot of big victories. Does this kind of like establish them as sort of the GOAT in terms of Space Marine chapters, or is that not set in stone?
I'd say they are. Like,
You say that with
Ward
some
is right.
pleasure.
He tried to warn us, and we didn't listen.
yeah. Yeah, like even the War Master Horus, like he's like, yeah, it could have been Roboute Guilliman. That would have been probably a good choice. Like, and they had, just as many honors as they did back then and stuff. And as we learned in this little story, that even though they broke down into chapters, they still call upon all these like sub chapters and unite as like a legion to go raid places. Like they definitely have done the most for the Imperium. It's hard to say the value that the White Scars brought to the Imperium during the Siege of Terra. Like it's crucial for sure, but
Yeah.
it was just one time where the Imperium or the Ultramarines are just at every battle holding it all together.
Yeah.
It, not to get too far ahead either, but it does kind of translate to even to current 40k with the Roboute Guilliman kind of becoming the prince of the Imperium, or the de facto ruler of the Imperium as well. I will say that having the Ultramarines were the most numerous legion, and they were probably the least mauled by the time the Horus Heresy ended, just on sheer numbers, which probably, if you're looking for some cope, if you're like a big Blood Angels or other Loyalist chapter fan, Imperial Fists, that, having your legion largely intact and being like the top dog right after the most brutal campaign for Space Marines probably also gave you an edge against everyone else as well. Like you would be the default heavy lifter, right? Just because you have the most troops, the most supplies that weren't totally destroyed, et cetera, et cetera.
We talked about Angron's bitterness, and I'm not going to read the quote again, but Angron's bitterness towards the Ultramarines, where it's like, you had everything. If you fucked it up, Roboute Guilliman, that's how could you even? You had the best start, you had the best dad, and all that. So yeah, when you have all those factors, then they're not mauled. They just kind of always come out on top because they had a good foundation. They can rebuild when others can't even. Because that's another big thing that they do throughout the 10,000 years is they always are donating a bunch more of their gene seed to create, 5th and 7th and 28th founding chapters.
Yeah. It's just something about maybe a breeding strategy. If you want to be the most successful, have the most babies or something. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but
no.
Spread your gene seed far and wide. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. The next war, the War of the Beast. During the War of the Beast, the Ultramarines upheld their duty as steadfast guardians of the Imperium, committing the full measure of their strength to the defense of Ultramar and the wider Ultima Segmentum. As Orc invasion struck deep into their realm, they conducted disciplined campaigns to secure vital worlds, preserve infrastructure, and maintain the cohesion of Imperial rule in regions that might otherwise have fallen into anarchy. Though not at the forefront of the war's grand strategic command, the Ultramarines and their successor chapters formed a reliable bulwark, absorbing and repelling sustained assaults while contributing forces to the wider Imperial counteroffensives. In doing so, they ensured that the Imperium retained one of its most stable and productive domains, a foundation from which the greater war effort could endure and ultimately prevail.
Yeah, so this is another perfect example of them not getting mauled and then kind of swooping in and being the most equipped to save the Imperium again. We're not going to dive too heavy into the War of the Beast. They didn't do too much. Ultramar got assaulted by some orcs, so they defend that a little bit. But what happens next is the beheading, and that's really where the Ultramarines kind of show once again what kind of power they have. So the beheading. In the aftermath of the final victory upon Ulanor, the Beast Wogs collapsed, yet thousands of systems remained imperiled. Thane and his newly reconstituted Imperial Fists returned to Terra to deliver their final directives, establishing the conditions of their fourth founding of Space Marines. He appointed Draken Van Gorch as Lord Protector of the Imperium before departing aboard the Phalanx to prosecute a preemptive crusade against the enemies of mankind for the following century. Upon learning that the Mechanicum had defied orders to enact exterminatus upon Ulanor in its pursuit of greenskin technologies, Van Gorch judged the High Lords to be an unacceptable liability to the survival of mankind. Thus, the most immediate consequence of the war was the event known as the Beheading, wherein Van Gorch executed a calculated coup that eliminated all the High Lords save Wayniand. And for the next century, Van Gorch governed the Imperium as an autocrat, yet one whose rule has maintained a measure of effectiveness. Terra was refortified, new Space Marine chapters were founded, and the final remnants of the beast were systematically eradicated. However, after 80 years of stable governance, Van Gorch's mind began to deteriorate, ultimately compelling Thane to assemble a coalition of Space Marine chapters to remove him from power. Numerous structural reforms accompanied the conclusion of the war. The Inquisition established the Ordo Xenos and the Ordo Malleus. The Captain General of the Adeptus Custodes was elevated to High Lords, and the office of Lord Commander of the Imperium was abolished. The Imperial Fist no longer maintained a permanent presence upon Terra, instead dedicating themselves to an unending crusade against the enemies of mankind. I didn't even write in there what the Ultramarines got up to. Well, the Ultramarines were a part of that, redeeming force, and they were the ones who enacted all of the new protocols, all the structural reforms. So after all this, they come back to Terra and okay, they can basically then go in and take out whoever's head of the state. And they've kind of done this a couple times in their history where, they just rebuild the Imperium, not only just in a brick by brick manner, but the structural, okay, now we're nominating all new High Lords of Terra. And that puts the Ultramarines in a very powerful position. Because the Fists, they don't want to do stuff like that. They keep going off and crusading.
It's kind of interesting. It almost reminded me of World War I, in that a lot of the British aristocracy, because at the time it was still very popular for many of the elites to join the war and fight in the battle. And so a lot of the British aristocracy were all literally on the front lines, but so many of them got killed that by the end of the war, there wasn't that continuity of government. A lot of people attribute this actually to the fall of the British Empire, is that there wasn't any continuity of the sort of institutions. So
Sure.
yeah, because much of the ruling class was just killed. And
that's when they used to do war right. I just want to say,
yeah,
president wants to start a war, he should get him and his family.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel if you don't have skin in the game, literally, what the hell are you doing starting wars? But
kings and knights and lords used to be the fighting.
Yeah, exactly. No, literally, lords.
It's that tradition.
Go into the war, and that kind of ended after World War I. But it's sort of interesting. It kind of gives you almost a blank slate to sort of rebuild. And after that, a lot of people became elites in British society who probably wouldn't have otherwise. But just an interesting historical contrast there.
Yeah, you can just change a whole system if you just change out a couple people. It doesn't even take that many.
Yeah.
You choose those key positions of power, and then you can really do whatever you want. All right. The next little bit. So we're leaving the great scouring now, but we get a couple examples in this episode and the last one of either they come in the fifth moment and save everyone, or they're raiding Imperial or traded planets and blowing them up. They just seem to be doing stuff that the other legions are not capable of doing. But yeah, we'll jump forward now to really. I think it's M40, maybe a little sooner, but big jump.
Talking about the aftermath here.
I skipped that. Sorry. Yeah, going to the aftermath.
Okay. In the aftermath of Van Gorch's fall, the Imperium descended into a period of measured but dangerous disorder. Ignacio, chapter master of the Ultramarines, assembled more than 50 fellow chapter masters and made for Terra with deliberate purpose, seeking to contain the instability that followed the crisis. With disciplined authority, the gathered Astartes imposed order upon a situation that threatened to fracture the Imperium's already strained governance. Bringing an end to the protracted political disputes concerning the succession of the High Lords, the assembled Space Marine leaders convened with the Sanatorum Imperialis in strict and closed deliberation. There, removed from external influence and guided by duty rather than ambition, they assessed the needs of the Imperium and determined a course that would restore functional leadership. When the Astartes emerged, their work was complete. 12 new High Lords had been selected, not through contention, but through careful judgment and unified resolve, ensuring that the Imperium would endure under stable and considered rule once more. Yeah, the Ultramarines literally just rebuilt the Imperium.
Yeah.
Like at its core.
Just right there. Yeah, and they've done that a couple times, man, where they've had to just do that, where they get so much power. Like, in the Era Indomitus with Roboute Guilliman, they come in, they redo a bunch of stuff, overthrow a bunch of High Lords again. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this whole area is kind of English Civil War coded too, definitely. The Ultramarines were very much. It's cool when you have like a third party, because like obviously you can't determine people's motives if they have a self-interest in becoming the leader. So they kind of acted as this like third party to come in. They already have a track record. They've governed their own region well enough, and they're not seeking, like, it's not like the Ultramarines crowned themselves as rulers of the Imperium. They're like, okay, we're going to be arbiters to make sure that there's like a cohesive succession without it devolving into civil war, and kind of do what's best for the Imperium rather than what's best for the Ultramarines or what's best for any of the interested parties of the High Lords, like the Mechanicum or like the Ordo Assassinorum or whoever else, right?
Yeah, the Ultramarines like, listen, we got our empire already. You guys need to get your empire in order. We can help you. But
yeah, there is like always a power move you can make in sort of the ashes of defeat, Yeah.
And it is still in the Ultramarines' best interest to have an ordered Imperium, right? The Ultramarines, as independent as they are still part of the wider Imperium.
Well, I think they're also most just ideologically aligned with even the Emperor and what the spirit of the Imperium.
Yeah, very cool. All right, so now we'll jump forward into kind of 40K modern lore.
So the Tyrannic Wars. Across the Tyrannic Wars, the Ultramarines were tested not only in battle but in endurance, adaptation, and sacrifice. As the realm of Ultramar stood repeatedly in the path of the Great Devourer, from the near ruin of Macragge and the loss of their veteran First Company, to the dawn-out campaigns against ever-evolving Hive fleets. The chapter was forced to refine its doctrine, balancing rigid discipline with calculated flexibility. The wars scarred Ultramar itself, with key worlds threatened or consumed, yet its system endured through careful governance and coordinated defense. In response, the Ultramarines strengthened their ties with successor chapters and imperial institutions, ensuring that their realm remained stable, a stable bastion amidst a wider galaxy in decline. Through these trials, they emerged not diminished, but tempered, more vigilant, more methodical, and resolute in their duty to stand as both shield and example to the Imperium.
Yeah. So they kind of get the joy of running into the Tyranids first and having to figure out what the fuck is this now. They have 4 major wars against the Tyranids. We're going to go over them very quickly. Like, each one of these could easily have its own episode, if not a couple. So I tried to sum it up as best as I could in a quick manner, just to kind of give you a flavor of what these Tyrannic Wars were about. So in the first one, it was marked by the Imperium's first full encounter with the Tyranid threat. As High Fleet Behemoth descended on the eastern fringe with overwhelming force, entire systems were consumed in rapid succession, culminating in the annihilation of the world of Tyran itself. Recognizing the scale of the threat, the Ultramarines under Marinius Calgar established a fortified defense line at Macragge, preparing not merely for battle, but for the preservation of the Imperium's bulwark, eastern bulwark. The ensuing battle for Macragge was one of sacrifice and resolve. Though the Tyranids were ultimately destroyed, the cost was severe, with the Ultramarines' first company annihilated in defense of the Polar Fortress. Yet the victory was decisive in its consequence. The Imperium endured, and the Tyranids were recognized as an existential threat requiring unified, large-scale response. From this moment onward, the Ultramarines stood not only as defenders of Ultramar, but as exemplars in the war against the Great Devourer. Yeah, this is kind of like classic mythos for the Ultramarines. It's like they lost their whole first company in the Polar Forts, and yeah, very cool stuff.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, is that also when Calgar became a quadruple? What do you call it? Lost all four points.
Quadriplegic? Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I don't know about pelagic because he literally lost the limbs. It wasn't that he was his spine.
Yeah, I suppose.
I don't know if there's a word. A quadruple amputee.
Yes. Good for him.
Yes.
Still making things happen.
Yeah. Most models for any hero, I think.
Yeah. Maybe Gazkill has as many, but yeah, they're probably close.
Yeah, don't ever let a disability keep you down, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was kind of the first one. The big thing they learned was just like they had a huge space battle over McCraig, and I think it was like one of the biggest one in all of Imperial history. And they learned that might not be the way to do things, and they kind of pulled back, tried to do land battles, and they learned, oh, that's not the way to do things either.
Learning and adapting. See, Calgar learned after losing all four limbs. He's like, we're not going to do that again.
Yeah, and then they go back up to space, and then they figure out, like, let's try some virus bombs or something like that, and I think that's how they ultimately win that one.
All right, moving on to the Second Tyrannic War, also known as the American Revolution. Just kidding. The Great Devourer, known as the British Empire. Just kidding. Okay. Oh. Anyways, the Second Tyrannic War began with the arrival of Hive Fleet Kraken, a more insidious and adaptive foe than Behemoth. Rather than a single overwhelming advance, Kraken divided into numerous tendrils, striking across vast regions simultaneously, and forcing the Imperium into a reactive and fragmented defense. The war spread across multiple fronts, drawing in not only Imperial forces, but also Xenos powers, as entire sectors were destabilized by the Tyranid advance. During the conflict, the Ultramarines again played a central role, most notably on Ikar IV campaign, where disciplined coordination and strategic precision were required to counter the dispersed Tyranid threat. Despite the Imperium's eventual success in halting Kraken, the war demonstrated that the Tyranids could not be defeated through conventional means alone. The Imperium had survived, but only narrowly, and at the cost of widespread devastation and the near destruction of entire civilizations.
Yeah. So this time it's like the Tyranids tried to do something different. Instead of attacking just like one spot and dedicating their whole force to that, they branched out. But I think that honestly just played better for the Imperium because they have bodies everywhere. But to get bodies and transport bodies places, that then becomes an effort. But like if it's all spread out, they already got people there.
Yeah. The Battle for McCraig boxed game, was that versus Kraken, or was that versus Behemoth? That was Kraken, right?
I think it was Behemoth.
Was it? My real question is, were they releasing, like, was this lore all already written, or was it kind of developed as they did different kind of campaigns and they just like added to them? And I don't remember, because by the time I joined 40K, I feel like, and this was a long time ago, at least the first Tyrannic War had always been written about, even in like a one paragraph excerpt in a codex or something. Yeah. And then I remember the release of the Battle of McCraig box set, and like, was that GW just going back in time to an established event, or were they writing it as they were releasing it, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I think depending on the war, you will find a different answer. Like, yeah, you're right. The first one, we've heard about Tyran for a long time, and we got that introduction of Inquisitor Cryptman at this point as well, since he named it. Like, that's pretty old lore. But they have gone back as well, and like they did add, like you were saying, well, Calgar fought the Swarm Lord specifically, and the Swarm Lord doesn't come out to like 6th edition, so that's a lot of years of Ultramarine lore and stuff before like we got that. So yeah, they definitely jump back and forth, and sometimes it is pretty established. Like the fourth war, I don't think we would have kind of grown up with. Like that's completely like a new one in and of itself. So
Yeah.
because I think the fourth one is the one that kind of comes up from below and then gets stuck in the Octavius Empire a little bit and all that kind of shit.
All right, the Third Tyrannic War. It heralded the arrival of High Fleet Leviathan, the largest and most formidable Tyranid incursion yet encountered. Unlike its predecessors, Leviathan advanced from multiple vectors, its tendrils encircling the galaxy and striking from beneath the galactic plane. This war transformed into a prolonged and ongoing conflict as the Imperium struggled to contain a threat that could not be engaged on a single front. Imperial strategy during this war grew increasingly severe, exemplified by Inquisitor Cryptman's scorched earth tactics, which saw entire worlds destroyed to deny the Tyranids sustenance. Major engagements such as the battles for Tarsus Ultra and the devastation of Baal revealed the scale of the threat as even Space Marine homeworlds came under attack. Though Leviathan was slowed, it was never truly defeated, and the war remains a grinding struggle for survival against a foe that adapts, endures, and returns without end.
Yeah, what do you do with this where every time you see them they could look different? I've always liked the headcanon of like different editions of Tyranid models were actually canon. That's how they actually looked. Like you could take like the first edition Hive Tyrant or whatever, and like that's like an early Hive fleet. Like that would be your Leviathan or whatever the first one was, and then yeah, your newest stuff is
but they evolve like with
yeah.
That's cool. That's a cool.
Yeah, and they come up with new Tyranids as well to meet you, like yeah, all that kind of stuff. So they're constantly adapting. So every time you figured out, like, okay, well, this tactic seemed to work. It's like not this time. They've changed. Which must be just the biggest pain in the dick for Ultramarines, where they're just like, how do we counter this if we don't know it?
Maybe I don't have enough context for this, but like I feel like by the time you get to the Third Tyrannic War, it's like becoming existential for the Imperium. Like this is bringing them to their knees, or am I wrong about that?
Yeah, I would say it's about as close to that description as possible without being it. Like,
okay,
we're learning the fourth one. Like, they're going for Terra in the fourth one. Like, they're directing it. Like, so they are advancing and getting worse and eating more and more planets. But the Imperium's just so big, ultimately. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, okay. Like it's one of those things where they're an imminent threat. If they're not countered, they're gonna be a problem. Like everyone sees it. Like, and then you see those images all the time of like how big the Hive fleets are outside of the galactic plane, and then you just see these little tendrils coming in, and it's like we're only fighting a small part of a bigger force that is coming. And they still, like, even between these three waves that we already talked about, Crake and Leviathan and Behemoth, that like, okay, there's a lot more of these guys and they are not going away. So like, yes, they will be an existential threat.
I like how you said it. If you don't deal with them, they will be a problem. Where like, if you don't deal with the Tau, they're not going to be a problem. You know?
Really need to work on that part of the Tau lore.
Yeah. Yeah, but you leave the Tyranids alone, and that's a big issue.
Right.
All right, we'll dive into the fourth one. The Fourth Tyrannic War began in the wake of the Great Rift, as High Fleet Leviathan reemerged in even greater strength, striking from new and unexpected directions. Advancing into the Segmentum Pacificus, the Tyranids launched a vast, multi-pronged invasion, employing separate tendrils to overwhelm Imperial defenses and exploit weaknesses in coordination. This marked a shift in the nature of war as the Imperium faced a foe capable of attacking across multiple strategic axes simultaneously. In response, the Imperium deployed highly mobile elite formations, including the Soulblade fleets, to act as both shield and spear against the advancing swarms. These forces sought to establish defensive anchor points while conducting rapid counterstrikes. Yet the scale of Leviathan's advance continues to strain Imperial resources. Unlike the previous wars, this conflict remains unresolved, defined not by decisive victory, but by endurance, coordination, and unyielding necessity to hold the line against an ever-adapting enemy. Whew, yeah. They had to counter this one. Oh, I had a point. It was just on my tongue. Someone else.
Kind of speaking back to the box sets. So, like we said, I think the Battle for McCraig box set was first or second Tyrannic War, and then the most recent Leviathan box set, which is now quite a few years old. Is it a few years old now? I don't know. My time has completely been destroyed. But the one that released most recently, called Leviathan, is this fourth Tyrannic War, I believe, because they already got Primaris Marines involved at this point and everything.
Yeah,
it's like the return of Leviathan.
Yeah. You kind of were talking about like pulling back and looking at like the different tendrils of the Tyranid fleet, and how it's kind of really all the same organism, whether they're attacking you from the south or the north, or above the galactic plane or below. Eventually, these kind of tendril fleets kind of go and connect. So yeah, it seems like in this one, they kind of were really far apart while still being able to communicate with that back end tendril connection. Like they weren't just shooting them off nowhere. They were still maintaining these, like, you could almost think of them as like supply routes or whatever, supply corridors and stuff like that. So yeah, being able to just like strike so many places across the galaxy at the same time, that's tough to deal with. And they haven't really yet.
Yeah. 2023 June is when the box set Leviathan came out.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
and like even those guys, they came out with like new brain bug type guys and stuff, like all types of cool new advancements. So
and they also notably they returned to some old designs. So the Carnifex Screamer variant, they kind of readapted the oldest version of the Carnifex as kind of like a and whether or not in universe you can say like, oh, that's the Hive Fleet reusing an old design, but in real world terms, it's obviously an homage to the original Tyranid model. So
I like that concept. It goes back to kind of what I was saying about different editions of Tyranids, or the different strains or whatever, the different fleets. So yeah, and they're like, this one still worked. Let's just kind of bump it forward a couple. Yeah,
exactly. I don't mind that too. Although the very first Tyranid designs are a little wonky, I think. But
yeah, maybe I should pull that up.
That does make them more alien, and it makes sense that their look would refine over time as they absorb species from this galaxy.
I gotta look that up. Honestly, all the vintage oh yeah, that's great. All the vintage like miniatures from a lot of 40K, I really dig them. Actually, I think they are obviously like a lot more cartoonish, but I kind of like that cartoonishness of them. But
you can't handle the grim dark though, eh? You can't go too grim dark. Give me this goofy armed guy right here.
That's a little silly, I will say. Those units are a little bit,
but they are canon according to Mark's version of it.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. And for anyone who's listening, just go look up the first Tyranid models on Google Image, and you'll see what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's that Screamer effects, Mark. There's almost like a side by side of like the old and then the new version of it. So very cool, very cool.
Very cool. I always do like when they take the old Hive Tyrant head, like the 3rd edition Hive Tyrant head, and slap it on new ones. That's always sweet. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I think everything after 1st edition Tyranids are really interchangeable for pieces. Honestly, I'm not a Tyranid player, but from what I've seen, and my brother collects Tyranids, like I think you could really be interchangeable with most models past 1st, maybe some 2nd.
Yeah. But, very cool.
I don't even know if I used edition right in that sense, but you know what I mean. First set of models, yeah. All right, let's get into the invasion of Ultramar. The invasion of Ultramar was a calculated and multi-front assault orchestrated by the Iron Warriors, Warsmith Hansu, who sought not merely to raid, but to destabilize one of the Imperium's most ordered and resilient realms. The campaign began with a sudden strike upon the world of Tyrannic, where orbital defenses were shattered and demonic forces unleashed to provoke a response. From the opening blow, the invasion spread across multiple systems, including Talisar and Espandor, as enemy fleets and warbands struck with coordination and intent. In response, Marinus Calgar convened a war council upon Macragge, rapidly identifying the true architect of the invasion and preparing a measured system-wide defense. Across Ultramar, the Ultramarines and their allies fought a series of disciplined but costly engagements, countering both conventional assaults and warp field incursions. On Espandor, Captain Cato Sicarius led aggressive counterstrikes to break enemy advances, while elsewhere coordinated actions between Astartes, Skitarii, and Imperial agents prevented total collapse. The conflict was marked by careful maneuver, ambush, and counteroffensive as the Ultramarines sought to regain initiative rather than simply endure. Despite heavy resistance, enemy forces pressed deep into key positions, threatening vital infrastructure and population centers across the realm. The decisive phase came upon Calth, where the Ultramarines under Captain Uriel Venturous conducted a determined defense against Hansu's primary thrust. Forced into successive fighting withdrawals, they ultimately regrouped and struck back, destroying key enemy assets and breaking the cohesion of the invading forces. With Hansu's plans disrupted and his command structure fractured, the invasion collapsed into retreat. Though Ultramar endured, the cost was significant, with hundreds of battle brothers lost and multiple worlds scarred. It stood as the gravest assault upon the realm since the Tyranid invasions, a stark reminder that even the Imperium's most disciplined domain remained vulnerable to determined and cunning foes.
Yeah, that's another thing that happens to the Ultramarines. Their systems, their worlds get raided a lot, it seems. But over 10,000 years, that's bound to happen. But it seems like, yeah, they either get raided as a distraction, like, okay, we got to keep the Ultramarines away from our grand plan. Somebody just go distract them and raid their worlds and cause a havoc. Or it's like, it's personal. And not for the Ultramarines, but like for, the word bearers or just some of these other ones, like the Iron Warriors who've attached them, it becomes this like personal kind of thing. And the Ultramarines are like, I don't care, really.
I don't even know you.
I don't know you. Just get the fuck off my planets.
Yeah. Yeah. It does make sense, too, with just the size of 500 worlds. Like, some of them are bound to always be under assault at any given time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of big names, too, I just dropped, like Uriel Venturous, Cato Sicarius, Hansu of the Iron Warriors. Like, they're all fairly big characters in their own right as well.
Yeah. Like, they have a book series about this, this kind of era. So,
yeah.
If you're into Iron Warriors and Ultramarines fighting, go check out. I think it's the Iron Warriors omnibus where most of this information comes from.
Yeah. I was going to make another point. You should always have Cato Sicarius's litany of achievements whenever you say his name, and you can just go into like a half a paragraph tirade of all his titles.
Yeah.
Gay.
No, he's earned each one of them, and yes, gay is one of his titles.
All right, Era Indomitus. The return of Roboute Guilliman marks a decisive turning point in the history of the Imperium, ushering in the age known as the Era Indomitus. Revived in a time of unprecedented crisis, Guilliman brought with him not only authority, but clarity of purpose, initiating sweeping reforms and launching the Indomitus Crusade. Stabilize a fractured galaxy. Yet the scale and consequence of these events demand deeper examination than a single moment can provide. In future episodes, we will explore this era in full, its battles, its political upheaval, and the transformation of the Ultramarines and the Imperium itself as the long legacy of the Primarchs reach its culmination. So stay tuned to Star Wars.
Wrong podcast, Jordan.
That's a different show.
Oh, sorry, Star Wars. Warhammer. My bad. It's such a force to have it.
Or a shameless plug.
Yes. Maybe both.
Maybe both. Yeah, we'll get to this eventually. Yeah, like I don't want to touch Era Indomitus stuff until we get through all the Primarchs, and then we're gonna go back and like give them all once over and see where they're at. So we'll get there eventually.
Sorry, truly, like half of the paragraph, every paragraph we read could be its own episode, and probably will be at some point.
Yeah,
Like
honestly,
every
all those
subsection.
periods of history for sure. For sure.
This is just your quick summary overview before we get into each one.
Yeah, so the next we'll dive into is we've done their history. We'll get into their organization. We do know that they like to be orderly. We know they come from the Codex Astartes. So just go pick up your nearest book of Codex Astartes from your librarius and you'll know how they're organized fully. In the aftermath of the Horus Heresy, the Space Marine legions were formally divided into smaller self-sufficient formations designated as chapters. Roboute Guilliman established the organizational doctrines that would govern each chapter of the reconstituted Adeptus Astartes. Though certain chapters would over time diverge from precise structure prescribed within the Codex Astartes, the majority would continue to uphold it structured with measured fidelity and enduring respect. The Ultramarine chapters maintains unwavering adherence to the teachings of the Primarch and the Codex, observing its dictates and with disciplined precision. They preserve the organizational structure establishing during the second founding with exacting devotion, permitting deviation only when circumstance renders it unavoidable, as demonstrated with the sanctioned creation of Tyrannic War veterans. During the incursion of High Fleet Behemoth, the Ultramarines' elite First Company was annihilated in a resolute last stand beneath the northern polar defense of Macraig. The formation comprised the chapter's most accomplished warriors, each entrusted with Terminator armor, a resource both rare and irreplaceable. Such losses in the warriors and war gear were not restored without considerable time and calculated effort. Stationed upon the galactic eastern fringe and subjected to repeated Tyranid invasions, the chapter's surviving veterans were forged through relentless conflict against these Xenos adversaries. Under the direct authority of Chaplain Ortan Cassius, a new formation of Tyrannic War veterans were constituted. This development marked a rare doctrinal deviation for the Ultramarines, a chapter defined by uniformity of structure. Its creation was guided by necessity, the restoration of veteran strength, and the measured application of accumulated experience against a persistent and singular threat. Yeah, we didn't really get too much into the organization. You know, we could get into, they have 1,000 guys, they have 10 companies of 100 guys and sergeants and all that, but it's pretty stock, you know, like every chapter is based off them. So it's all, yeah, it's fine. I think we know how chapters are done at this point.
We should do a read along of the Codex Astartes just from the very beginning and just page by page.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a dry episode, but it has to be done.
It has to be done. They have like 230 plus in-universe books that they've kind of like not fully written, but like either mentioned or have throwaway lines, and that's definitely an episode or two there where we can read through some of those.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into some of the breakdown. The chapter command. Where the graven statues within the Hall of Heroes upon Terra to stir the descended. Oh wow, that was a terrible. Okay, let me try that again. Sorry. Were the graven statues within the Hall of Heroes upon Terra to stir and descend from their gilded podia, they would scarcely equal the measured and noble assembly that directs the Ultramarines. The chapter is guided by leaders of exceptional caliber, whose conduct reflects discipline, restraint, and an unwavering commitment to duty within the Imperium. You read that opening sentence again, Mark. That was that was a mouthful. Chapter Master and Lord of Macraig, Marinus Calgar, has ruled for more than 2 Terran centuries, exercising authority with deliberate judgment and proven martial command. His governance is marked by continuity, clarity of purpose, and the steady application of strategic doctrine in all theaters of war. Beneath the Chapter Master stands a distinguished body of Imperial servants, the Honor Guard of the Ultramarines, selected from the most experienced and capable veterans. Each warrior bears an extensive record of disciplined campaigns and decisive engagements. The axe-bearing champions and the shielded defenders of the Victrix Honor Guard stand in ordered readiness, executing their lord's commands with precision and resolve. Surrounding these central figures is a structured network of specialized institutions and officers. The Armory, the Apothecarion, the Librarius, and the Reclusium each fulfill defined roles, contributing to the governance, sustainment, and operational effectiveness of the chapter through coordinated function. Supporting this command structure are numerous ranks of mortal personnel tasked with administration and logistics. Chapter serfs, astropaths, lexicographers, carto divinators, historiators, and logisticators ensure that orderly management of resources and information. Among the population of Macragge and the wider realm of Ultramar, these individuals are regarded with respect, while the Ultramarines themselves acknowledge their service with measured honor. Yep.
Yeah, so the Ultramarines, this is kind of where their organization becomes a little almost different, is where they lead worlds as well. Not on an individual, but like captains might lead worlds or like be crowned like what is Cato Securius crowned with like his planet there?
I think a regent of something.
Regent. Yeah, regent of Teslagar or whatever.
If you had written all his titles, Mark, you'd have them.
God damn it, you're right. I fucked up. Yeah. So you get all that kind of aspect, but then within the chapter 2, they like kind of divvy out command even more. They have these Ultramarine honor guards that kind of divvy out, which is kind of cool. But yeah, it just seems like they really have that leadership dialed in.
Yeah. I think a cool component of the recent release of the Ultramarines command squad with Captain Titus is incorporating those kind of human elements. So you have like the Ultramarine command, he has his banner bearer and his veteran bodyguard, but then you also have like a lot of like high level humans that are also serving the Ultramarines. And I think that's cool, specifically for Ultramarines, because it sits with their modus operandi to like also value and use their serfs and like other servants to more effect, right? They're not just servants, they are, but they're also kind of have their own place of honor. The fact that they were chosen to be the logistical backbone or to support with their own military, their auxiliary, the Ultramarine auxiliary forces there. So I think that's a cool nod to the human element that the Ultramarines also incorporate.
Would you ever like to see like chapter surf models that are like
100%?
Yeah. Okay.
I love that element, man. I think it's such a slept on part of the chapters. I'm making my own. Like I'm getting models for my guys. I wish they had more official ones, but yeah.
And like chapter serfs that are not like the ones that are following around like Grimaldus and Hellbridge, where they're like these like almost servitorized ones, like more kind of like warrior-esque.
Yeah. Like if you think about it, even the lowest servant of a chapter would still be like an exceptional role or person or good at what they do. They're not just going to grab some idiot and be like, you're in charge of logistics. Like that would be dumb. So like you got to think it would be like an honored role to even be the guy who carries a Space Marine hero's equipment. Like that itself is deserving of its own honor amongst other humans, right? Like on Ultramar, like, oh, you're the bearer of someone's helmet or something. Right?
Yes, I am. Come on, ladies.
That itself should be like a great mark of honor for that person, even if it's a lowly position. It kind of speaks to like a knightly like page or squire, right? Like, yeah, they're the lowest rank of a knight, but in that there is also like some measure of honor or respectability to that role or title. Yeah.
We got a question for you. What are you using as the base body for your serfs? Do you know?
I have to think about. There's a lot of third-party models that are complete that I'm gonna get, some of which I've already acquired, and then some of them I'm using. What are the Palatine Enforcers? Yeah, you already knew what I was gonna say before I said it. So they're kind of like the more militarized element of the chapter serfs, I guess, who will help in combat. Which you got to consider. Like, hear me out. Like,
I like them for sure. I like the concept, but keep talking.
Every chapter works differently. Some might be more Space Marine heavy and look down on humans. Like they are slaves. They are not worth anything. But people like the Ultramarines who have this whole auxiliary force that supports them makes sense because of the nature of Space Marines. They have to be an elite fighting force just because of their numbers are so small. Someone has to hold ground. Someone has to protect supply lines. Someone has to do the menial work of combat even. That gets the job done, it's a difference between special forces and regular army. Like a lot of times people like celebrate the Navy SEAL and like look down on the regular army guy, but the regular army guy is like holding and taking positions and ground. The Navy SEALs or the special forces operators, Delta Force, they're going out and like seizing objectives and taking out high value targets and stuff. But the day to day, they're not going to put a special forces operator to like hold this position or stand on lookout for hours at a time, right? Like, but someone has to do that. They're not going to dedicate a Space Marine to do that, but they'll dedicate like Imperial Guard forces or their own auxiliary, which if they have and they can tie into their command structure would be way more effective than outsourcing it to some random Imperial Guard force, right?
Yeah, and it's a nice loophole too, like how the sisters avoid like no men at arms for the ecclesiarchy. They're like, well, we'll make women, and it's like only 1,000 Space Marines. We're like, well, we won't make Space Marines then.
Yeah, but all these guys get guns too.
Yeah. I like the Palatine Enforcer. I just feel like they are a little too heavily armored. Like if I compare them to like the Scouts, like they just seem like the Palatine are a little more armored.
The way the way I square that circle, I get what you're saying, would be that like your soft human assets probably need a little more protection to keep up with their Space Marines. So even like an under armored scout could kill a whole squad of these guys by himself. So these guys need the extra protection to just be inserted in those like dangerous combat zones that Space Marines are going to anyways.
Sure. And I guess too, it could be like poor construction materials too. So
right, exactly. Like scout armor is still pretty good compared to like regular human armor. On the surf front, and this is just for my chapter. My chapter does lean more in the tactical modern military look. But if you're going for like a more ancient or knightly kind of feel for your guys like Ultramarines or something, there's a lot more like you could do Bretonnians or something, or like the Sigmar Free Cities guys, and like adapt them to the 40K to have more if you want a more gothic look or feel to your support forces.
And there's so many third party
options as well,
like options like where you build like the head and the chest and get what arms are you putting on, like all that. So there's tons of cool ways.
For non-combat roles too, I like a lot of the guys who wear robes. So like kind of the earlier pictures you had, just like a guy draped in robes carrying around equipment for like a Space Marine or something. Another aspect of serfs that gets slept on is a lot of times serfs are failed Space Marines. So if they're not totally crippled by whatever it is that made them fail as a Space Marine, they're probably pretty good fighters on their own right. Just as a thought, like if you made it far enough on the path to become a Space Marine and you just washed out, again, as long as it wasn't like life-altering or crippling surgery that put you down, you probably are like pretty damn good soldier too. So not to sleep on them either.
Yeah. I just pulled up a picture of kind of that washout. We were talking about this personally the other day in this cultist warband. I forget what it's called.
They're the ones allied with the Corn Jackals, I think.
Jackals, that's exactly it. They have this big monstrosity up front. He's like almost twice the size of the other guys, like so thick, and he's got a bunch of like black carapace ports on him. So this could have been a failed chapter serf who went and like now led a war band, or it could just be an unarmored Space Marine who likes getting down and dirty with a bunch of shirtless boys. Hard to say.
I think his actual role is it's called Dishonored or something like that. I don't know it's directly stated. I don't have their codex. I have the model. I like to imagine he's some kind of failed or washed out Space Marine, but he's either a dishonored full-fledged Space Marine or somewhere on the line he washed out or failed out, but is still able obviously to fight.
Like just imagine you get like a bunch of the steroids, you get the second heart, and then you wash out during some trial of like, I don't know, cold exposure. But now you're still this like super cool human. You got 2 hearts and you're all roided out. Like,
that's more what I'm thinking on the path of failure, right? Like maybe a surgery didn't take and you just didn't get the black carapace or whatever. But again, you made it far enough down the road that you're not some like pushover for sure. But I think the whole realm of Space Marine serfs and support characters is an underrepresented part of 40K.
And like you said, it's sweet that now we kind of get that with the Ultramarines, because that is their flavor. Like their flavor is empire builders.
Kind of going back to that one command squad we were talking about a second ago for Captain Titus. There is one character in there. She's like a commander of the Ultramarine. Their auxiliary forces have a name. I forget what they're called. But you can see clearly. You get an idea. They lean more into the Gothic rustic. She's the one with the helmet crest. She's got more of a militant vibe versus the other two, which look more like commanders or advisors. But yeah, you could lean more into like the grim Gothic aesthetic too with them, not strictly the future tactical. But that's my rant.
I'll hear it again, but not today. We'll move on.
Okay, Honor Guard. The Honor Guard of the Ultramarines chapters is composed of those warriors entrusted with the defense of the revered chapter banner. To attain this station, a warrior must demonstrate exceptional courage and composure beyond the standard expectations of duty within the rigors of combat. Ultramarines Honor Guards are equipped with finely wrought suits of artificer armor, and each bears an axe of Ultramar, a weapon of considerable potency, forged by the chapter's tech marines and fashioned from rare ores drawn from beneath the prandium. These arms and panoplies reflect both status and responsibility, and are maintained to exacting standards. Within the Honor Guard stand two distinct offices, the chapter Ancient and the chapter Champion. The Ancient is entrusted with the sacred banner of Macragge, carrying it into battle as a symbol of continuity and resolve. The chapter Champion, foremost among the Guard, is armed with the Honor Blades, a matched pair of master-crafted power swords, which he employs with precise and disciplined lethality. The Victrix Honor Guard represents a more selective and elevated order within the chapter, tasked with the direct protection of senior Ultramarines. Every member has previously served within the Honor Guard and is chosen through the deliberate selection. Their conduct defined by restraint, loyalty, and proven dedication to duty. So like special forces of the Ultramarines.
Yeah. I didn't know that these guys were separate. The Vicatrix and the Honor Guard, I thought they were just like the Primaris version, but I think both still exist. Like they do have separate roles, where the Honor Guard are like 30 of Calgar's like trusted advisors and the exemplars of the chapter, and he will divvy them out to places. Some will hang out with him, but some will teach squads down this way. The Vicatrix, as we'll find out later, not in this episode, but eventually in our lives, I'm sure. They are definitely more like the bodyguard type, it seems, where they're like, the sword and the shield, as opposed to like an attack force.
Yeah, they I think they come from the Horus Heresy, actually. They're established as the
and that's what's weird. So they're in the Horus Heresy, and then they disappear for a long time, and they're not mentioned again until like this whole new recent not even that, like not till this whole new recent Ultramarine drop. So like even within the last year, these guys pop back up, even though they were in 30K.
Yeah.
Let's see if their 30K models are sweet. That's kind of the artwork for them. Very similar, they're just covered in all the sweet eagles and like
gold.
Very sweet models. The Aquila over the face.
Yeah. I personally love them. I think they're sick.
Yeah, for sure. I was bitching about the Vicatrix when we did the 30K. Like, man, I just wish that they had swords. Like the axes of Ultramar just seem weird in my mind, that like that's your Honor Guard's weapon. Like it just seemed off. And then going through this, I'm like, oh shit, I didn't know the Vicatrix dropped their axes, because the axes are still for the Honor Guard, not for the Vicatrix. So the more you know. The other cool unit that the Ultramarines have are the Tyrannic War Veterans. Let's just pull up a picture of them.
I'm surprised they haven't made new ones yet. That's what I was kind of excited to see, if they redo the range.
Yeah, like they do have this guy right here, the lieutenant model, where he's got like a carapace strapped on his shoulder. But yeah, like it's one model. You need that whole squad.
Yeah. If you go to the original Tyrannic War veteran models from the Firstborn set, those guys.
Yeah, you see some bionics in there, which is sweet. They look weathered and worn. Very cool. So during the initial incursions of the Tyranids, the Ultramarines maintained continuous engagements against the extragalactic threat. The advance of Hive Fleet Behemoth was decisively halted at the Battle of McCraig through a sequence of controlled engagement that resulted in the severe depletion of the chapter's strength. Veterans of these campaigns are formally organized into the specialized formation designated as Tyrannic War Veterans, also referred to as Tyranid Hunters. These units undergo focused training to counter the specific Xenos adversary with precision and efficiency. Within the first company, a measured number of its warriors hold this distinction. Standard armament includes the bolt gun and the Astartes combat blade, selected for reliability and adaptability in close engagements. Additional weapons are reassigned or assigned in accordance with operational requirements. Certain veterans are equipped with close support armaments such as multi-melta, flamer, plasma gun, each employed with deliberate control. Veteran sergeants maintain command through the use of chainswords in conjunction with bolt guns or grenades, ensuring disciplined leadership and effective application of force in all combat scenarios. Would you like to see these guys? They could operate in a couple of different ways, and we're not fully sure. Do you like to see them as like a 10-man squad, or maybe this is like an honor, like the Crux, where it's like you could have a Terminator Tyrannic War veteran, and he's the only one in his squad, but he was there, and that's why he's like that. Or do you like lumping them?
I like them as a mark of honor, only because the Ultramarines are supposed to be like the model Codex chapter, so to have this subgroup kind of throws that off a little bit. I know they were kind of released as a squad, but I like them kind of like scattered throughout the forces, and it makes, I don't know, maybe it doesn't.
That's like how, no, I think it does make sense. Like it's like an honor badge. It should be like that, where you know that you can have your bolt casing to mark you out as a marksman. Like, yeah, you have your Tyrannic War Veteran badge.
Yeah. The thing that I think would make sense about having them in a squad is if their role was to literally hunt Tyranids, and like because they're experienced at it, they know what they're dealing with. You can make like a kill team, let's say, of Tyrannic War Veterans.
Yeah.
But it doesn't fit with the Codex compliance-ness of them.
Yeah. And like this isn't a big group either. But yeah.
Because they're mostly dead. Tyranids killed them all.
Those rat bastards. Fuck. Cool. Well, that will take us to the 500 worlds. We've talked about it a whole bunch already. Let's get a little more specific in this episode. We'll get to some actual planets within these 500 worlds.
The Ultramarines are distinguished among their peers by the scale of their dominion, exercising authority not over a single world, but across a structured subsector of space. This domain is collectively designated the 500 Worlds of Ultramar, with McCraig serving as its administrative and cultural center. Governance is organized through a system of regional oversight in which appointed tetrarchs enact policy and maintain order in accordance with the will and doctrine of Roboute Guilliman. Within the extensive realm lie hundreds of settled worlds, each contributing to the stability, productivity, and defense of Ultramar as a whole. These planets vary in function and character, yet are unified through disciplined governance and adherence to established order. Among them are several worlds of particular renown, recognized for their strategic, industrial, or cultural significance within the greater structure of Ultramar.
Yeah, cool. So the first one we'll kind of briefly get into. It was crazy going into these planets. You click on some links and all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, you could do a whole episode on just McCraig. A lot of stuff has happened there. But we'll keep it pretty basic this time.
Yeah. So on McCraig, the capital of Ultramar and the chapter planet, McCraig stands as the political and martial heart of Ultramar. A cold and austere world of stone, mountain, and discipline, its harsh environment has shaped a culture of order, resilience, and unwavering duty, reflecting the ideals of the Ultramarines themselves. Upon the world rises the fortress of Hera, the chapter fortress monastery, carved into the high and barren peaks, where only the most resolute may endure. As the capital of the realm, McCraig governs the wider domain of Ultramar, its authority extending across numerous systems. bound by feudal loyalty. It is here that the legacy of Roboute Guilliman endures most strongly, both as a symbol of unity and as a standard of governance. From this world, order is imposed upon chaos, and the Ultramarines draw both purpose and identity.
Cool. And it's endured for 10,000 years. Unlike Calth, that's had some hiccups over its history. So it's mostly a cavern world and a shipyard. Calth is Calth is a world transformed by catastrophe, once fertile but now rendered inhospitable beneath the light of a ruined star. Its people endure within vast subterranean cities, engineered with precision and grandeur to sustain life beneath the surface. These cavernous domains stand as a testament to humanity's ingenuity and disciplined adaptation in the face of annihilation. Despite its scars, Calth remains indispensable to Ultramar as a center of industry and voidcraft production. Its orbital shipyard supply fleets that defend not only Ultramar but the wider Imperium. The memory of its devastation during the Horus Heresy endures as a lesson in vigilance, shaping a culture defined by endurance, efficiency, and unyielding purpose. The word bearers and the world eaters owe reparations to the people of Calth. They're not over it. Even after 10,000 years, they're pissed.
Yeah, I'm sure their check will be in the mail.
I'm sure.
A check of blood. And one day again. Yeah. All right. Next up, we got Espandor, the Cardinal World. Espandor lies distant from Macragge, a sparsely populated world of forests and frontier settlements. Its people descend from early colonists, and their culture reflects independence. Their culture reflects independence, endurance, and a measured pride in survival far from the core of Ultramar. As a cardinal world, Espandor fulfills both spiritual and civil functions. Oh my gosh, sorry.
Oh, those demons.
Yeah. As a cardinal world, Espandor fulfills both spiritual and civil functions, maintaining faith and stability at the edges of Ultramar's domain. Its remoteness has forged a disciplined populace accustomed to hardship, yet steadfast in loyalty. In its quiet way, Espandor exemplifies a balance of faith and duty that sustains the greater realm.
Connor, Adeptus Mechanicus world. Connor stands among the founding worlds of Ultramar, long associated with the works of the Adeptus Mechanicus. Though no longer formally designated a full-fledged world, it remains a vital center of research, manufacture, and technological refinement. Its allegiance lies as much with Mars as with Ultramar, creating a measured independence within the realm. Yet its output serves the Ultramarines faithfully, supplying war material and advanced systems essential to their campaigns. Connor represents the union of logic, discipline, and industry in service to a greater order.
Parmenio is a training world. Parmenio is dedicated to the cultivation of warriors, serving as a proving ground for aspirants to the Ultramarines. Its environments are structured to test endurance, intellect, and discipline, forging neophytes into instruments of war. Here, the doctrines of the Codex Astartes are instilled with precision and rigor. Every trial is deliberate, every lesson methodical, ensuring that those who emerge are worthy of service. Parmenio stands as a crucible where the potential is refined into unwavering loyalty and martial excellence. Cool. Yeah, you got 500 worlds. You can dedicate one to war, I guess, one to training.
Also, I think Parmenio is known for its cheese production. Parmenio cheese.
Yes. The planet stinks, but it's a great place to be nonetheless.
Yes. All right. Next up, we got Talisar, an ocean world. Talisar is a world of storm-racked seas and jagged islands. Its lone continent stands defiant amid relentless waters. The planet's violent climate has forged a people and a culture accustomed to hardship and constant vigilance. Its history is marked by conflict, most notably the battle fought upon Glaudar against invading orcs in the wake of the Horus Heresy. Talisar produces warriors of resilience and precision, exemplified by figures such as Cato Sicarius. The world embodies controlled fury, disciplined into strength.
Cool.
Thalassa Prime, Inquisition Fortress World. Thalassa Prime serves as a fortress of the Inquisition, a world dedicated to vigilance against alien threats. It houses a major stronghold of the Death Watch, where warriors from many chapters gather to confront the Xenos menace. Within its bastions, knowledge is weaponized and secrecy maintained with absolute discipline. Its purpose is singular and uncompromising: to identify, study, and destroy the enemies of mankind. Thalassa Prime stands as a silent guardian, its wars often unseen, but of critical importance.
Lapis, a shrine world. Lapis is a world of devotion, its purpose rooted in faith and reverence for the Imperium. Pilgrims and clergy alike gather upon its sacred ground, maintaining traditions that reinforce unity and belief across Ultramar. Its influence is not measured in armies or industry, but in conviction. Through ritual and doctrine, Lapis strengthens moral foundation of the realm, ensuring that its people remain steadfast in purpose and loyal in spirit.
It's also a major exporter of lapis lazuli.
Yes, sir.
Maybe not everything I say is factual, for the record.
No, it all is. It's all canon. We are very canon.
Yeah. Ardium, hive world. Ardium is a densely populated hive world, its towering cities rising in ordered layers of industry and habitation. It represents the mass strength of humanity, where labor and production are carried out in monumental scale. Though often a target during the times of war, Ardium endures through discipline and structure, as vast populations supply manpower and resources essential to Ultramar's continued stability, embodying the principle that strength lies in unity and order.
The Triple Worlds. These small planets form a triple world combination, orbiting around a common center of gravity. Much like Terra and its moon, Luna, gigantic horticultural cities cover hundreds of square kilometers, capturing precious water in wind traps and storing it in massive underground tanks. The cities of the three planets are enclosed by gigantic domes, under which flourish forests and gardens as lush as any in Ultramar.
Wow. The first one of these triple worlds is Masali one. Yeah, Masali is one of the
Masali rice is produced here.
Yes, sir. so we got rocks are coming out of here. We got rice. Yeah, wonderful. It's dedicated to large-scale agricultural production. So far, Jordan's right. Its surface is dominated by controlled environments where food is cultivated with precision and efficiency. Massive dome cities and irrigation systems ensure stable output regardless of external conditions. Masali contains not only its neighboring worlds, but sustains not only its neighboring worlds, but contributes significantly to the logistical strength of Ultramar, proving that discipline extends even to the cultivation of life.
Next up, we have Quintarn, an agri-world. Quintarn operates in concert with its sister worlds, forming part of a carefully balanced agricultural system. Its infrastructure is designed to maximize yield while maintaining strict environmental control. The world's cities are enclosed and regulated, preserving fertile ecosystems beneath protective domes. Quintarn reflects the Ultramarines' philosophy applied to sustenance, ordered, efficient, and unwavering in purpose.
Tarantus, Agri-World. Tarantus completes the triad of the triple worlds, orbiting in harmony with Masali and Quintarn. Together, they form a unified system of agricultural production, each contributing to a greater whole. Its vast horticultural complexes are engineered with precision, ensuring stability and abundance. Tarantus stands as a symbol of interdependence, where disciplined coordination sustains the wider realm of Ultramar, and reinforces its enduring strength.
Cool. So those are kind of the 13 most notable. You know, they got 500. What's kind of cool about the Ultramarines is if you're writing your own character, you could come up with your own planet in the Ultramar system that was recruited to an Ultramarine, where not many worlds you could do that, or not many chapters you can do that. The other thing to note too about the realm of Ultramar is there are definitely other Space Marine chapters that exist within it and defend it. So the Ultramarines aren't doing the whole thing. Yeah, they got a bunch of chapters in there helping out. All right, moving on to recruitment. The Ultramarines maintain a long-established tradition of recruiting from across the realm of Ultramar, where their authority and reputation ensure a steady supply of aspirants. Service within the chapter is regarded as an honor without equal, and many noble lineages take pride in offering successive generations for selection. Particular attention is given to candidates drawn from the Juventii of McCraig, whose prior discipline and training marks them as suitable for further evaluation. While no single codified ritual governs induction, the chapter employs two principal forms of trial, the exposure trial and the challenge trial. Each is designed to measure resilience, discipline, and capacity to endure beyond ordinary human limits. The exposure trial is most widely utilized in the assessment. In this assessment, the aspirant is placed within a hostile environment and required to survive for a designated period with minimal support. Such trials are conducted across a wide range of extreme conditions, including death worlds, irradiated wastelands, arid deserts, frozen tundras, and predator-infested jungles. In certain instances, aspirants are deliberately removed from their native environments and placed within unfamiliar ones, ensuring no reliance on prior experience. Survival, rather than completion of a defined objective, is often the true measure of success. Those who endure beyond expected limits, even if they ultimately succumb, may be recovered by apothecaries and judged worthy of advancement. The challenge trial is frequently administered, but no less exacting. In its most common form, the aspirant engages in a direct contest with a full battle brother. Victory is neither expected nor required. Instead, the aspirant is judged on resolve, discipline, and the manner in which he meets inevitable defeat. These trials may also take the form of contests of strength, endurance, and mental fortitude, each calibrated to test the limits of the candidate. Though often fatal, those who demonstrate exceptional merit may be preserved and advanced. Those who survive these trials and the coming training within Ultramarines barracks institutions are inducted as neophytes, serving as scouts in accordance with the Codex Astartes before ascending into full battle brother status. Those who fail to display sufficient worth may yet serve the chapters in other capacities, their fate determined by the needs of the chapter. Though many aspirants originate from noble families, such distinctions hold no value within the ranks of the Ultramarines. Upon induction, all stand equal in duty and expectation. Rank and honor are earned solely through discipline, sacrifice, and service, in accordance to the teachings of Roboute Guilliman. Yeah, cool. I like this kind of way of doing it. You got two trials. It's kind of up to like, man, maybe they're recruited on the far side of Ultramarine, and you don't want to ship them across the whole empire just to test them. So you just kind of have trials over there. They got worlds over there that are specific for these trials. It kind of also gives like every Ultramarine, you know, when you put a squad of 10 together and each one of them had different trials, it just brings more of that experience and more cumulative knowledge together.
I think you're muted, Christian.
Yeah, I have some mixed feelings about some of the trials of other chapters. They don't seem like they would produce the best warriors necessarily. But like you're saying, it's cool to have like mixed challenges that people would assume. But part of me does wish there was more of a cohesive, like, and that goes across chapters, Imperium wide set of Space Marine trials. But it does add to the flavor of each chapter and how they do things differently as well. So, yeah. All right, let's get into my favorite topic. And if we're talking about Space Marines, it's the hot and heavy gene seed.
Oh,
Love it.
so good.
The gene seed.
I've read some comments about stop the gooning, you creeps. But we can't. We won't.
We won't.
It's not possible.
It's written into the lore, guys. The gene seed. The gene seed of the Ultramarines is regarded among the most stable within the Adeptus Astartes, exhibiting a minimal incidence of mutation and no significant deviation from established physiological norms. All implanted organs function in accordance with projected parameters, and long-term degeneration is negligible, ensuring a consistency of performance across successive generations since the era of the Horus Heresy. This genetic reliability is matched by a defined psycho-organic profile. While an elevated capacity for aggression is present, as in standard among all Astartes, Ultramarines initiates display a pronounced inclination toward cohesion, discipline, and the structured acceptance of hierarchy. This is accompanied by sustained and methodical focus upon assigned objectives executed with clarity of purpose and restraint. Such traits distinguish them from chapters whose gene seed expresses more individualistic or irregular behavioral patterns. I don't know if I'm a huge fan of that. We've discussed this at length in other episodes about how much of the gene seed imprints in like social behavior, the whole nature versus nurture argument for Space Marines. I won't rehash that whole thing here, but I do like when it's a mixture of both, as is reality versus like the gene seed made me do it, which
it definitely seems like they've leaned into the gene seed made me do it with all these chapters going through them. Like it seems so.
I hate it, honestly.
Yeah, then it just implies that, like, okay, so what about all the second, third, and fourth, and fifth? Like, okay, they're all just knockoffs then. And then I also hate, then they start smashing together, well, I want to be good at siege and assault, so let's take chimeric gene seed. Like, it all just...
Yeah, like, there's no reason that the gene seed has its traits, yes, but then, like, depending on the world you came from, or your chapter's rituals or whatever, that indoctrinates you. Like, that's where the culture can come in.
Yeah.
Like it's a little bit silly that it's all down to the gene seed. On that note, though, it does also make sense, kind of speaking back to earlier in this episode, how we discussed how the Ultramarines are like always showing up to things and how they had such big numbers. Like the fact that their gene seed is super stable, obviously, definitely helps with that as well. Recruitment, the more initiates will get past, their gene seed isn't going to go crazy on them or cause major issues. So all these factors kind of complement each other and lead to the Ultramarines becoming that like poster boy status of the Imperium.
Yeah.
Owing to its stability and proven effectiveness, Ultramarines gene seed has served as a foundation for a significant proportion of successor chapters, particularly in the aftermath of the second founding. As a result, it remains one of the most widely propagated genetic lineages within the Imperium, reinforcing both doctrinal uniformity and operational reliability across numerous formations of the Adeptus Astartes.
Yeah, we've I forget that number we just talked about. So if you listen to the other episode, it was like 2/3 or something of all Space Marines come from the Ultramarines. Something wild like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Wow.
Good for them.
Yeah. So their combat doctrine. By the 41st millennium, the Ultramarines chapter conducts its wars in strict accordance with the Codex Astartes, applying its doctrines to meet each tactical circumstance with measured precision. This work, attributed to Roboute Guilliman, preserves the accumulated knowledge of countless imperial campaigns, detailing matters ranging from unit designation to the execution of planetary scale assaults. The Ultramarines do not pursue mastery of a single discipline, instead maintaining a balance of comprehensive approach to warfare. Their strength lies in consistent proficiency across all theaters of conflict, rather than singular excellence. Other chapters may exceed them in specialized roles. The Aurora chapter in armored warfare, the Raven Guard in infiltration and rapid strikes, and the Imperial Fists in defensive siegecraft. Yet this breadth of capabilities ensures that the Ultramarines remain prepared to counter any such specialization with disciplined response. Their adherence to doctrine and balanced application of force establishes them as a measured standard within the Adeptus Astartes, against which other chapters are frequently assessed in both conduct and effectiveness.
Yeah. Well, there you go, other chapters. You might be better than them at a specific thing, but they are still the best. So take your win where you can have it. But yeah, they just can do everything, it seems. So, and that's nice. That's what they're there for. Their beliefs as inheritors of the martial doctrine of Roboute Guilliman, the Ultramarines have conducted their campaigns in accordance with the Codex Astartes for 10 millennia. Its prescriptions are neither loosely interpreted nor selectively applied. Rather, they are executed with precision, discipline, and a clear understanding of their intended purpose. Deviation from this doctrine is regarded both as unnecessary and improper. To the Ultramarines, the Codex represents a complete and ordered body of military knowledge, its authority derived from proven effectiveness and enduring legacy of its author. As such, its teachings are upheld without alteration, forming the foundation of the chapter's operational identity. This adherence is reinforced by the culture of Ultramar itself, where discipline, duty, and self-reliance are instilled from birth. The populations under Ultramarines' rule are conditioned to respect order and continuity, ensuring that the principles of the Codex remain constant across generations. In this way, the chapter sustains an unbroken standard of conduct, preserving both intent and application of its doctrine across 10,000 years of war. That is until Roboute Guilliman himself came back and rewrote it. So he does that a couple times, actually, where his book wasn't full. It's funny, the Ultramarines, like how literally they take this book and it's like, no, this is kind of a guide, and Roboute Guilliman himself changes it a bunch of times and changes it. But it's fine.
But the damn Space Marines just don't listen.
They don't listen. They're dug in and they'll never change.
They will never change their beliefs, as it should be. All
Yeah.
right. Let's get into the Calgarian rites.
On a cold winter day, you must strip down to your boxer.
Make a pilgrimage to the Saddle Dome.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's going to be some deep cuts that nobody else is going to get, unless you're from Calgary.
There's this guy in our Discord. He's from Edmonton, and he's like, Edmonton's better. It's just all those Edmonton people. They think we have a rivalry or something.
Yeah. Listen, we don't.
There's no rivalry. Trust me.
We don't think about you at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking Edmonton people.
All right. Let's get into the Calgarian rites here. In later years, Chapter Master Marinus Calgar elected to undergo the extensive augmentation required to advance beyond the standard Astartes condition. His decision was deliberate, intended to demonstrate acceptance of enhanced warriors within the ranks of the Adeptus Astartes. The procedure was directed by Belisarius Call, who noted the considerable risks inherent in such transformation. The process required the integration of additional gene seed organs beyond the established 19, each designed to reinforce strength, endurance, and recovery under extreme conditions. These augmentations enhance the subject's physiological capacity, enabling sustained combat effectiveness beyond prior limitations. The surgical undertaking was comprehensive and exacting, involving full systemic reconstruction under controlled conditions. For a measured interval, vital function ceased before restoration was achieved, though through precise intervention and applied technology. Upon revival, Calgar endured the strain of transformation and resumed command, demonstrating the viability of the process through action rather than proclamation. His survival established a precedent within the chapter, and the procedure thereafter came to be regarded as a sanctioned path of advancement defined by resolve, discipline, and proven endurance. So it's literally just the Rubicon Primaris, but ultramarinized, I guess.
Well, he was the first guy who did it, Calgar, so it's like...
Sure, but everyone, it's literally the same process. Just becoming a Primaris Marine.
Yeah. Yeah, he just got a surgery named after him is all.
But it was already named.
It's called the Rubicon.
Yes. Which still is Roman coded, so there's no reason for this.
Those sons of bitches. They did it again.
They did it again.
Their own lore.
They just rebranded.
Fuck.
I will say that Calgar undergoing it first is a cool kind of like symbol of like, okay, this is a risky procedure. We'll try it. Let me be the first. Like, you would think someone of high status would let someone else take a risky procedure that might kill him, but Calgar leads from the front because that's what Calgar does.
Yeah.
I do like Calgar for all the crap talking we're doing.
Yeah, he's a fun guy. Oh, yeah, crossing the Rubicon. In that new 11th edition box set, I think you get a bunch of guys who are wearing like firstborn helmets and stuff and have firstborn war gear. It's interesting to see that they're kind of maybe keep that kind of going. Like
they're
where,
readopting the Gothic look.
Yeah.
I will counter that they are Primarisized. A lot of people are just complaining like, oh, you could always just head swap the older Marine heads on the new ones, which is true. You can. They're scaled appropriately, but the Primaris versions of all the old Space Marine armor has the little like helmet flanges on the side that make it Primaris-y versus the old ones that don't have that. So a lot of the Corvus helmets, the Mark 6 helmets, the Horseheresy ones look like the traditional ones with like the earpieces. But the the Primaris version of those helmets have the Primaris kind of ear guards. It's a very subtle difference. Only like a schizophrenic like me might pick up on that. But
only the truly tistic would get it. Yeah.
But it is a difference that should be noted if anyone's trying to mix and match helmets, if they care about that kind of detail.
Yeah.
As they should.
As they should.
Yes.
If you're an Ultramarine player, you do.
Yeah, but they've only released one model so far, so we'll see what the rest do. But
yeah, interesting.
Yeah, Mark, if you to your left and down, you see those Corvus helmets in the bottom. You can see the earpieces on all of those versus a guy in the top corner in blue. That's like the old style, and these ones, just look at that helmet.
Yeah, it's got like the covering essentially, like an overhang flap.
Exactly.
Cool.
And that's a difference across all the different marks of helmet that they're adapting for Primaris.
Very observant, young Christian. Very observant. Oh yeah, so then what's this guy from? Pop quiz. Okay.
It shouldn't exist.
Right. Shall we move on? The culture of the Ultramarines. The traditions of the Ultramarines reflect structured influences drawn from ancient Terran civilizations, particularly in their ordered approach to military organization and governance. They stand as a principal example of codex-compliant doctrine within the Imperium, requiring no supplementary systems beyond the Codex Astartes to conduct war with clarity and precision. The Dominion of Ultramar grants the chapter sustained direct interaction with imperial populations. This proximity has fostered a measured sense of responsibility towards the citizenry, aligning their role not solely as warriors, but as guardians of those under their protection. Such perspective informs both their conducts in war and their governance in peace. This outlook supports their reputation as one of the more disciplined and principled chapters, committed not only to martial success, but to the preservation of human life. While adherence to imperial doctrine remains paramount, the Ultramarines have demonstrated a capacity for calculated cooperation when circumstances demand it, maintaining order and honor in such engagements. Their realm encompasses multiple star systems governed from Macraig, forming the greater domain of Ultramar. From these worlds, the chapter recruits, administers justice, and maintains stability through structured oversight and disciplined rule. At the heart of this domain stands the Fortress of Hera, the chapter's fortress monastery, where selected aspirants from across Ultramar begin their transformation into Adeptus Astartes. Here, they are shaped through rigorous training into warriors defined by control, resilience, and unwavering purpose. The foundations of this system were established by Roboute Guilliman through the Codex Astartes, a comprehensive body of doctrine outlining the conduct and execution of war in all its forms. Among its most significant directives was the division of the legions into smaller controlled chapters, ensuring both efficiency and balance of power. The Ultramarines have maintained strict adherence to the principles across 10 millennia, preserving continuity in structure and doctrine. These same values extend into the wider realm of Ultramar. where order, discipline, and stability are upheld as enduring standards within a hostile galaxy.
Yeah, very cool. Their culture is order, and whoever invented this helmet crest, man, that's the Ultramarines culture right there. That's all you need to know. They look sweet, and they're probably gonna kill you.
Have you heard
And
of
what-
Romans?
When an Ultramar do as the Ultramarines do.
Exactly, yeah.
Classic phrases like "all roads lead to Ultramar."
All space roads, Christian. You forgot a part of it. Oh, man. Yeah, very cool. We'll get into their appearance now. The Ultramarines present a striking and highly ordered appearance, both defined by deep cobalt blue power armor that reflects both unity and authority across their ranks. Their primary color is complemented by restrained accents of gold, denoting rank, honor, and command, while white is often employed by veteran distinction and ceremonial markings. Their aesthetic carries a deliberate echo of ancient Terra, particularly Roman martial tradition, seen in crested helmets, laurel motifs, and the disciplined symmetry of their heraldry. Chapter insignia, most notably the white Omega symbol, is displayed with precision upon the pauldron, while the company colors, squad markings, and campaign honors are applied in accordance with strictures of the Codex Astartes. Purity seals, scrollwork, and engraved honors further reinforce their identity, not as ostentatious display, but as a measured record of service, discipline, and legacy. Yeah, there's way too many markings and stuff to go into what they all mean, but like, and they have so many different styles over the years of a codex and stuff, of all these different markings where it's like, oh yeah, this one up here is a tactical marine symbol, but then the up arrow is also a tactical marine symbol. So yeah, you could go through and go crazy with all of it. I think you probably should in your own free time.
Yeah, I remember they used to sell the Codex Astartes book. And
Yeah,
they really went into all the detail about what every marking is and what it means. If you really want to paint your guys to be lore accurate, definitely would recommend.
yeah, this is what the cover looks like. But yeah, that was a great book. I only ever got my hands on the PDF of it, but like you said, yeah, you just scroll through there and it has all the colors and the markings. You ever wonder what a Lamenter's helmet color should be? You should check in there. You might find an answer.
Yeah. All right, moving on to war gear. The chapter armory of the Ultramarines is situated within the depths of the fortress of Hera upon the crag. Within this ordered domain, the chapter's weapons, vehicles, and war engines are maintained with exacting discipline. Between engagements, armor and artillery are restored to full readiness, while revered dreadnoughts remain in controlled stasis, preserved until required for war. The armory serves as both a physical bastion and a structured command within the chapter. Behind reinforced gates and within carefully maintained hulls, the authority of the Tech Marines is absolute in all matters of war material. The environment is defined by regulated industry, the measured cadence of forge mechanisms, the controlled application of precision tools, and the constant oversight of function and form. The Ultramarines and their successor chapters maintain within their armories a vast and meticulously preserved reserve of war gear, accumulated over long millennia of continuous conflict. This wealth is not merely a matter of quantity, but of carefully maintained diversity, ranging from revered relic weapons and artificer-wrought armor to specialized vehicles and battlefield systems suited to a wide spectrum of engagements. Such resources grant the scions of Roboute Guilliman a measured flexibility in force composition, allowing commanders to configure their companies with precision according to operational demands. Whether prosecuting planetary assaults, conducting void warfare, or engaging in protracted defensive campaigns, the Ultramarines are able to equip their warriors with tools appropriate to the task at hand. This depth of material, combined with their disciplined adherence to doctrine, ensures that their response to shifting strategic conditions remain controlled, efficient, and consistently effective across the many theaters of the Imperium's wars.
Just a quick thought here. I used to always think about like that death of the first company and they lost like 100 suits of Terminator armor. And it's pretty wild that they even got 100 suits in the first place. But yeah, you know, they maintain everything really well. And then they also might draw from other chapters too and stuff, some resources to get everything. But yeah, they just have kind of everything maintained. I was just thinking about the rebuilding of those 100.
Yeah, I like to think they have lots of reserves too. With Terminator armor, I don't know if the lore changed on whether or not is it Indomitus armor?
Yeah.
It's still super limited or not, or if that they've become a little more flexible on that front.
Yeah, I think they
rare.
Yeah, like you couldn't build them anymore. But it seems like you can build Terminator armor now. It's just resource intensive, but you can't build like Cataphracti, Saturnine, or Tartarus armor.
Yeah.
Seems
yeah,
like.
But I imagine they still, just even from the Horse Heresy days, because they had such surpluses of things, I like to imagine that chapters that are well equipped and well supplied, like the Ultramarines, have this like reserve of armor that's not always in use and is just kind of maintained. So if they need
or like it's been damaged, so like some chapters don't even kind of have the resources to fix it, or the desire to, maybe, or the skill. Where the Ultramarines, they are taking that time, that backlog of armor is actually combat effective and ready.
Yeah, and they could even field a secondary suit if they had to in the meantime while it gets work done.
Yeah.
Right. Servitors conduct the labor of transport and assembly with tireless consistency, while Tech Marines oversee all processes, ensuring that each component meets established standards. Under their direction, damaged war machines are restored, weapons are calibrated, and machine spirits are attended with ritualized care, ensuring operational reliability in all theaters. Within these halls, both restoration and creation are undertaken. Artificers devote extended periods of the construction of exceptional weapons, each crafted to exact specifications for those of proven merit. These works were not produced in haste, but refined through disciplined effort and technical mastery. From the armory, commanders requisition the heavier assets required for deployment, selecting vehicles and war engines appropriate to the mission profile. The chapter maintains a considerable reserve of venerable machines, many preserved across millennia. Among these are ancient dreadnoughts whose occupants, sustained with their sarcophagi, bring accumulated experience and doctrinal clarity to the battlefield when awakened.
The other thing they have in the armory is not just the Astartes and the dreadnoughts. They also have like the motor pool Astartes, where all those tanks and stuff have guys assigned to them. I think Rhinos might be the only one where it's like the squad might drive it themselves, but like usually they have Rhino drivers and a Rhino gunner.
Yeah, that was never clear to me how that was supposed to break down. I created my own chapter construction, may or may not be Codex compliant, but I never totally understood how Rhinos were supposed to be.
Yeah, I just feel like by the way they're painted, there's plenty of pictures of Rhinos with a squad of Ultramarines outside of it, and if you look at those shoulder markings, they'll tell you what they're up to, who they are. So
yeah, that's fair. I just don't like the way they do
it. Well, I don't either. What do we do about it?
We make our own, because we can do that, because not all chapters are Codex compliant.
Yeah. But these Ultramarines are, and they do have a motor pool of guys. They also have a bunch of guys locked in dreadnoughts, so that's yes, the Ultramarines. Well, that's the end of our notes. The Ultramarines, I think you get the gist of it. They're kind of they could do anything, jack of all trades guys. They always come in clutch in the 10th hour, the 12th hour. They always come and rebuild. They're very well trusted and respected, to the point where you can like rebuild entire institutions with them and feel
like the
confident.
Imperium itself.
Yeah. Can we just rebuild the Imperium like Ultramar, please? Get some more of these paradise worlds around and self-sufficient places. Yeah. Ultramarines. I liked Ultramarines, so I kind of always have. I've had the entire 5th company of Ultramarines I owned at one point, fully painted. Ultramarines are cool, man. Great color scheme. It's hard to find anything to complain about them, because they're just kind of basic and bland. They're just there to do their job.
I really like the gold and the veteran looking, like the one you have highlighted right now. Like, yeah, sure, the basic Ultramarine is just blue, but when they get like more senior or more like veteran status, like that, the gold inlays on their armor with that blue, and then the white helmets. Look,
the white helmet. Yeah,
I agree. The gold is very nice on the blue.
Yeah,
there's
more of their.
There's a cool non-canon, but like I see a lot of people do this with their guys, is they add a lot more gold to like their foot pads and just like generally to some of the extra armor components. I don't even know how you would Google that, but they look really sick.
I want to see someone paint their Ultramarine gold with blue lines, with blue accents.
Oh, like inverted?
First. I'll
Just
find you
like-
that.
Has someone done that?
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure there's one Ultramarine out there who's been so combat honored, he's more gold than blue.
Yeah.
It's like the zebra question. Are you black with white stripes or white with black stripes?
Yeah. Yeah, there we go. This guy's getting close.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's
Not
actually
quite.
sweet. I like that.
Yeah.
The shield too. That's nice. Nice, very nice.
Very nice. Yeah, they look great. They work great. You know, you're gonna love them. Just go buy yourself some Ultramarines. It's not hard. You can do it. I don't think I'll be buying myself anytime soon, but it's not a
Feel like
never.
you can never go wrong with Ultramarines, you know.
Yeah. And even if you're Blood Angels, like maybe you just paint an Ultramarine or two and sneak them in your army. You know,
Just like the trailer. It's canon. It obviously happened.
it's canon.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, that was a fun episode. Roboute Guilliman and the Ultramarines. What else to say? Nothing. So we'll just move on. Coming up, we're doing more Astartes armories. We're going to be talking about their tanks and stuff. There's a bunch of different types from heavy to light to APCs to flyers. We'll go through them all. So stay tuned for that. If you like Ultramarines, you can buy Ultramarines at a discount. Use Merlin Miniatures and use promo code Lorehammer, and you can get a discount, I believe. Or it sends me a kickback or something. I'm not sure how it works. Just go there. Use links. There's links in the description below. Tell them I sent you. And you can also go to the Lorehammer Listener Lore podcast. There's a bunch of your guys' homebrew lore that I've read off there. So you can keep sending that in. And Lorehammer Listener Lore podcast.
And don't forget, as I plugged earlier, the Star Lores podcast. All the Legends lore, expanded universe, all prior to the Disney era. Make sure to go check it out if you know what's good for you. If you want a Star Wars,
Is that a threat?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
I think April 1st will be dropping a very special episode. So people,
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah, stay tuned for that.
Nice. Cool. Well, we'll see you guys all on the next episode. Have a good one and adios.